What's going on, everybody?
Woo!
This is Star Wars Newsnet Live. What is going on, man? We've got a lot to talk about tonight.
Oh, yeah.
We really do. And we only have two things to talk about, but there's so much to unpack with all of it. I'm so looking forward to this episode. I've been excited for this episode all day. And I knew we were going to end up talking some Mando, but
we also got
Bad Batch.
We have to.
I just watched Bad Batch like 2 hours ago to get ready for tonight, and I'm like, like I just want to melt. So, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. We'll probably talk for like an hour and a half tonight. We got a lot to talk about.
We'll see.
We'll see how it goes. It's late where I'm at. I know it's getting late where it's late where we're both at actually. But anyway, so let's just jump right into this. Let's talk Bad Batch first, and then we'll get into some Mando.
Yeah.
Nate,
Brian,
the series.
First off,
go ahead.
Spoilers, complete total spoilers. If you have not watched, go away, do something. So just get that out of the way. Giant spoiler warning before one of us says something. Because I know last time I was on, people got upset because I couldn't keep my mouth shut. So I'm unfiltered tonight. So
here's the thing: the show aired Wednesday? We're on Thursday. It aired last night or yesterday, and so if you're a big enough Star Wars fan to want to watch Star Wars Newsnet Live, you've seen the show. So
if you're here,
we're talking spoilers. You've seen it, so we're just going to assume you've seen it.
There's always one.
If you haven't seen it yet, if you say something we say tonight is a spoiler, you have nobody to blame but yourself. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. So let's talk some Bad Batch. So we got the season 2 finale yesterday, a 2-episode finale, and so much to unpack with this episode. I mean, it kind of hit the ground running a little bit, but then when it finally really kicked off and you see some of these characters that are popping up, and then you see, like a certain thing that we're going to talk about here in a minute, and then everything that transpired after, and like the cold ending, like the cliffhanger ending, it was an awesome 2 episodes. So first off, before we start getting into all the spoilers, Nate, what was your general takeaway? Do you think that this was a good season for Bad Batch? Do you think this was a good cap for the season? And where are we going from here?
Well, just for complete context, the Bad Batch is not my favorite Star Wars series or anything. It's just not. I treated this season kind of like you hear some people, it's like, I'll just wait to binge it at the end when everything's out. So that was my experience. And it's not because I didn't want to watch the show. I kept hearing things about episodes like political thrillers, things with Crosshair, all these other things, all these things that sounded insanely cool. I just didn't have time to watch. So I basically, over the last week or so, I finally got caught up, and I too watched the finale today, and it made me a fan of the show. It made me. I got fully on board with the show, simply because I appreciate when these animated shows, they give you stakes that you can really sink your teeth into. When it becomes more than just your normal average kid show with your side adventures every week, and when it really gets into the meat of what's going on, I just really appreciate that kind of stuff. And the season was a little bit rough for me at points, but when it hit, and this 2-parter, it went there.
Okay, let's just talk about the big thing first, obviously, tech. I mean, I'm of the mindset, I don't think he's dead.
I don't think he is either, but
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is either, but I'm sorry. I want him to stay dead. I want him to stay dead because I want those. I like the character, but as I was just saying, I like when things have consequences and things have stakes. So I hope that moment sticks. And I know it probably won't because there's no body, and we all know that means he's around there somewhere.
Right.
And if he does come back, I will sit on my couch and I will cheer and all these things. I like the character, but Yeah, but yeah, I feel like that moment was really well done. I really appreciated just the dramatic element of it and how the music that just cut out. I love Kevin Kiner, and the way he composed that scene was, whew.
You brought up a good point. I agree with you. I want him to stay. If they really did kill him off,
Mm-hmm.
I hope they really did, because I think I talked about it. When did I talk about it? I think I talked about it on the last episode of my podcast, Star Wars Canon Podcast, episode 9. How many times did somebody die in episode 9 just to be brought back later? I mean, Chewie died. Just kidding. He was on another ship. 3PO got his memory erased. Just kidding. R2 had a backup on his Google Drive of 3PO personality. Oh, Rey died. Just kidding. Ben brought her back. Oh, Ben died. Just kidding. You know, I mean, he came back, and the whole movie was surrounded by, oh, Palpatine was dead. Oh, now he's back. Like, so, yeah, the stakes, like, oh, Zori Bliss. Everybody thought Zori died on Kijimi when it got blown up. Just kidding. She shows up to the final battle. You know, like, so I was expecting Snap Wexley to just walk up at the end of the movie after crashing the ship into the Star Destroyer and exploding.
Man, that still hurts. I really like that character from the Aftermath.
Like, hey guys, we won, you know. So I agree with you. I hope that they actually did kill him off. I hope that he stays dead. Sounds so callous to say.
I know. I hate it. It hurts, but, and because it made me cry. And it's crazy. I don't really like the show all that horribly much, but it made me cry. It's like, and every Star Wars animated series has made me bawl like a baby. At that one point, and that was borderline it for this show, and so it was done very well. Yeah. I just wanted to commit. Yes. Make a ballsy decision like that and stick with it. You know.
Sometimes it works bringing characters back. Look at Darth Maul. I mean, bringing Maul back.
If there's a good story for it, absolutely. If we find out that Cody saved them, for instance, because we have no idea where Cody is,
right?
That could work, or Rex, or so there's a lot of avenues they could go to bring him back. That'd be interesting, but for right now,
I think he's dead though.
I think he is too. I think he is too.
It's not going to shock me to find out he's alive. No. But they already brought back Echo.
Yeah.
You know, we thought Echo died in what season of Clone Wars? And then they're like, just kidding. We brought him back. So I think he's actually gone. The only thing that gave me pause was when the doctor kind of threw his goggles that were broken.
I know
those, but
that's what I'm saying. It's like there's no body. And we all know what that means, but there has to be one time where they subvert that.
Yeah.
They have to subvert that expectation of there's no body. That means he's alive.
Show too. Can you show a body? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because even with Rebels, because we were talking about Rebels before we went live, even with Kanan's death, sorry if you guys haven't seen that yet, you didn't see a body. I mean, there wouldn't have been a body, but still, you just see the flash and then it's over. It was a kid-friendly death. You know, it really was. And so even with this, I could.
I mean, not to be super dark, but they were very high up. So, so if he plummets and hits the ground, I don't know if there's going to be a body to find.
Yeah, right.
Kind of graphic imagery there. I'm sorry, but it's like
it seems like. Remember how the season began?
Yep.
Do you remember? Because they were hanging from the ship on the cable, and I mean, it was kind of bringing it back full circle. But it was a very cliche way to have somebody sacrifice themselves of cutting the rope. You know what I mean? Like
I know. Yep.
It worked. You know. So
absolutely. I loved what it did. Because the season did a really nice job, especially in the later half, of really bonding Tech and Omega.
Yeah. There was some serious focus on that.
Right. Especially that one episode where basically Tech is just trying to communicate with her why he's feeling the way he is about Echo leaving and whatnot. And that really touched me as a guy that has those types of issues and well, not those types of issues specifically, but knows a bunch of people that experience those types of issues. That really hit me hard. And that really bonded me to those characters a bit more. So it's like, they really sunk into that. And that's the reason why I hope they stick to it, because that could really develop Omega into something special as well.
Yeah, because like we were talking about that episode where they were in the cave, they get like blocked in the cave, and Tech just doesn't. He's not thinking about it. He just doesn't mean to say the wrong thing, but he does. And then you know that was a huge bonding episode for those two, because even Hunter was like, "You're really the only one that's like not close with her, and so
Mhm.
and they can't see that relationship. So there was a lot to this season about that had to do with Tech. He was pretty front and center in this season quite a bit.
Yeah.
And am I high, or what's Wanda Sykes' character's name? I can't.
Fee, I believe. Yeah, Fee.
Was she flirting with Tech before
I
they
think
left?
so. It felt like that. It felt like that for sure. Yeah.
I mean, she always called him Brown Eyes, but it was just the kind of the vibe that I was getting was that she was kind of whatever. But so yeah, I think it's like you were talking about bringing stakes to the animated series. With the series, you can do a long form story like that, and you can really build the characters. So even when an animated character dies, you're like, what? I mean, now I don't think Tech's death had the same impact as like a Kanan.
No, not even close
By a long shot, but still, it was
but anytime you kill off a main character, especially in this type of genre for this type of audience, and they've done every single time they've done it very well. So
they have. No, they've done it right. So we got a couple of little Easter eggs in this episode as well. Kind of getting away from Tech, rest in peace. So one of my favorite things in this episode was the meeting with Tarkin.
Oh, I love
and all of
I have so many questions about that. I have so many questions.
I was freaking out.
I didn't even notice it was Krennic there at first. I didn't even notice that was Krennic at first, and then I had to rewind it because I remembered. Didn't someone say that Krennic cameoed? And I totally missed it because I wasn't paying enough attention because I was just soaking in everything else that was being said and soaking in everything Hemlock and Tarkin, everyone was saying, just trying to wrap my head around what I was witnessing at that moment.
Yeah, it is wild. And then we got the mention of Project Stardust, which is just, I smiled. I couldn't help it. I was like, oh, that's so cool. But there was a lot to this episode. Toward the end, finding out that what was the doctor's name? Not Hemlock, the female doctor. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. But to find out she's a clone too.
Yeah, that was nuts. That was nuts.
Did not see that coming. Because in like the novels, I think it was the Brotherhood. I think it was the Brotherhood novel. No, it wasn't. It was the Padme novel, the last Padme novel. They introduced, there was a clone that was fighting next to Anakin and Obi-Wan, took the helmet off, and it was a woman. It was a female clone, and they called her sister.
Queen's Hope.
And then, well, she also popped up in Brotherhood. There was a continuation of that where she popped up for just a quick little cameo in that book too.
I didn't reread those books. I've already forgotten that. If it's true, I've already forgotten that.
Brotherhood was like a.
Oh, I know. I love that
immediate
book.
Sequel to the.
Yeah, it was. But I just forget every detail of books sometimes.
But yeah, I remember reading about the sister, and so now we're getting into a point where how many female clones do we have now of Jango? I mean, because you've got Omega. It's
still a little weird for me, but yeah.
But it's weird. And what was going on with all the vats around the cloning vats? Because you couldn't see what was in them.
You see, I have so many questions regarding all of that stuff in Tantus, and I wish they would have explained, or the finale had the job of basically breaking the team apart and making them realize they have to fight. They can't just sit on the sidelines anymore.
They basically Empire Strikes Back did.
Yep.
Everybody's in a dark place.
For sure. So and because of that, everything that was going on with Crosshair and everything over there was kind of in the background, a little bit at least. I mean, we still got a lot of Hemlock, obviously, and whatnot. But like explaining what's going on, I don't want to wait anymore. I want to know what's going on there because that's really been teased since the end of season 1 when we got the first image of Tantus, and we knew exactly what that was from Legends. And then we got just a little bit more in season 2, but we still don't really know the full intricacies of what's going on there.
The full extent of it, right?
And
it's interesting how Bad Batch is happening in an entirely different point in the timeline, and they're talking about the same thing during Mando. They're really focusing, driving home this point about the cloning thing right now.
Which I want to, I mean, is it probably connected? Yes, most likely. But I really want them to just say that it is. I'm tired of getting. We all know that it is, but I'm tired of getting strung along at this point. I want to know, Nick.
Slow burn and just let's go.
Tired of it because I've talked this with my friends and family, but I view pretty much all of Star Wars television as one giant saga in a lot of ways. Obviously, Mandalorian is an extension of Rebels and a lot of stuff in Clone Wars with Mandalore and Rebels, and now Ahsoka is going to be leading from Rebels, and Bad Batch goes sequel to that. They all feed into each other in their own special ways. So I always view it as one giant saga. So at this point, I just want answers, man. And that means that I'm invested, and the Bad Batch got me back on board with this finale and this season. So props to them, because I was not, after season 1, outside of the last couple episodes of Bad Batch season 1, I was not feeling the show at all. I was not feeling. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was, but it's like, I just don't care. Yeah. I don't care. I mean, I like the whole. I enjoy seeing how the Empire is manipulating everything at this point. That stuff's always interesting to me, but the side adventures, man, I just can't get on board with them sometimes. I don't know what it is, but that's my thing.
The other thing was Sid's betrayal. Sid calling the Empire and letting them know, hey, Clone Force 99 is here. You know, what's left of them, basically. And do you think she really felt bad about it? Or do you think I don't know. Sorry, I muted my mic for a second. Yeah. She was talking to Wrecker about how you came back here. You brought the heat with you. But did he really bring the heat with him? Because she's the one that called.
I know. That was weird. You know, that goes back to what I was just talking about. What is Sid's purpose in this show? I mean, because we spent 2 seasons of the team running missions.
Season and a half, yeah.
And we talked, and there's so much chatter online about filler. And I hate that term so much because I've been watching Dave Filoni produce stuff long enough to know that everything has a purpose.
Nothing is filler.
Everything has a purpose. Even Sid. The problem is Sid's purpose all the way up for the first 2 seasons was for this one moment where she just randomly betrays them. And I'm just like, that's the payoff you give us? So yes, that didn't really work for me all that well. I don't know where they go with that character from here, or if she pops back up or what. I don't know. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't know what her intent was with that. I don't know what her or I mean, it makes total sense for her to do it because the Empire at this point is just going all out trying to find them, and they were going to one way or the other. And we've seen several times in the show that the Empire just doesn't care, and they're going to wreck your life if you don't listen to us. So maybe she didn't even have a choice, and maybe they just knocked on her door, and she was just trying to save even just a little bit of face with the crew to maybe help them out down the line. I don't know. So
it was kind of a kicking them while they were down move.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
You just lost your brother. Well,
because it happened like immediately after that. Yeah, it happened like immediately.
No time was wasted. Just regain consciousness, and then here
which I love that scene. I love
the whole
scene.
First person.
I was awesome. Losing my mind. I was like, oh, that's such a cool way. That's so cool
to see it from her point of view like that.
But it's like immediately after that, it's like, well, we're right back in. It's like, Jesus, give us a break to breathe.
Yeah, especially give us a chance to mourn for Tech.
Yep, and they did, and they did. I did like the scene right before. I mean, there was a moment before that where Omega and Hunter had a moment to talk, and they talked about basically restarting. It's like, all right, we lost. We have this deep personal loss. We need to do something different,
right? And
they settled on going back to what was it, Pabu, whatever Feast Planet was, which I was like, all right, cool. It's not going to last, but all right. I understand why you would make that call instead of join the fight, because that is because you lost your family, so you need to just. But it's like, man.
It was a gut punch.
I
It
know.
was a gut punch, you
I
know.
know. And it's going to be tough to sit with, but I think that's
Yeah.
the point. I mean, that's the point. I mean, you said earlier it's the Empire Strikes Back of,
Yeah.
and it feels like a lot of these animated shows, the second season is that. So
yeah, it's you know, you get your heroes scattered at the end of the second act,
mhm.
and it just makes the third act that much more triumphant. You know what I mean? When they finally come back and with, you know, with a vengeance or whatever. But like,
where do you think the show goes?
You know, that was the other thing I was gonna talk about, ask you about, because
I don't know.
I don't know either. The only possible thing I can think of is that because they're touching on the cloning thing, right? Because they barely touched on it in the first season.
Yep.
At the end, and then we saw quite a bit about Tannis in this season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we didn't get all the answers, but but we're certainly going to in season 3. Again, assuming season 3 is a thing, but
I'm sure it is.
It will be. There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. But to be fair, they haven't announced it yet officially. But but it's going
celebrations
to happen,
next weekend. So yeah. But is that storyline the purpose for this series?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Conduit for that story.
I was driving around earlier and doing some last minute errands before I'm gone for the weekend, and I was just thinking, this season and the last couple, I mean the whole, and I was thinking about what I really enjoyed and loved about the show, and it took me back to the phasing out of the clones into stormtroopers, and I feel like that is ultimately, so, and a big subplot of this season was the Imperial Senate and some senators trying to get clones' rights and whatnot. But not every clone is about that. So I'm wondering what's it going to be like, and what are those clones gonna do when the Empire really puts their foot down? Will there be a mini war between the stormtroopers and clones or something, or some kind of rebellion or something? I don't know. But at the same time, it's like there's going to be some factions of the clones that are like, bruh, we fought a war. Let's just rest. And well, I'm very fascinated. And from the Empire's point of view as well, going back to that meeting scene with Krennic and Tarkin and Hemlock and whatnot, there were people in that room that were like, you know, the clones aren't all that bad either. So there's all kinds of politicking as well with this, that I feel like that has to be the direction they go. Right. It's just what it looks like when all is said and done, I don't know. But
well, keep in mind, like the Obi-Wan series also, we saw that 501st Trooper, the homeless 501st Trooper.
Right. So clones are still around. I mean, they're still around, and the Empire doesn't care. So I'm curious. I feel like they're going down the kind of the real world-esque route where actual real life veterans are kind of just thrown into the dirt. And we have these systems in place where they have ability to get resource and all this stuff, but so many just don't.
Right.
Or for whatever reason they just can't get the help they need or whatever. So I feel like we're going towards that route. It's just how we get there. I feel like that has to be the core. And for me, at least, I don't know. But yeah, I also am wondering, will season 3 be the last season? Do you think?
I don't know. Like, how long can you tell a story?
I don't know.
I mean, you've already killed off, you've killed off one of your main characters. The other one left your group. You know what I mean? Like, it's how long can you?
I do want to vent about Crosshair later on, but we can do that.
Oh, yeah, we can. But is this going to be a thing? Because we know that eventually Palpatine did get the cloning thing off the ground. Obviously, we know that he did eventually. So is that what? Are they just reverse engineering the clones now that Kamino has been wiped out? Are they reverse engineering them to try to start from scratch again without the Kaminoans?
Yeah, I don't.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like
And Omega is the key to it.
Right. And I can't remember. Remind me, did the Empire know about Omega at the start of the show? They didn't, right?
I don't think they did.
It was just Nalise and the Kaminoans that knew about her and were keeping her safe.
Right.
That's right. They're keeping her safe. And then the Empire started to meddle into Kamino, and then the Bad Batch got her out and all this stuff. Okay. Yeah. They didn't know about her, but now that they do, I'm very interested to see what her connection. Yeah. I don't know.
Here's another interesting thing to consider. They needed Omega so bad. What's so special about Omega? Because if this other doctor is literally a female clone as well, what's so special about Omega that they need that they couldn't get from her?
Yeah,
unless it's the accelerated aging thing.
I don't know if they've said personally that they need Omega. I think the point of trying to get her was to get Nalise on board with assisting with the Hemlock's project. I believe
sense.
That's what the case was.
That makes sense, yeah.
If someone's in the chat and can correct it on that tiny little nuance, cool. But yeah, it's like I had to rewatch the show because there's so many details, and that's another thing I really appreciate about this season is some of the details they threw into the lore and world building. I really appreciate that element to this season. So
I think you're right about using her as leverage, because right there at the end when they walked in with her, he was like, "Now will you work with the?" So yeah, I think you're right about that. Lobo Samhain says, "You are correct, Nate."
Yes,
sweet, well done. You figured it out.
I can pay attention.
So Johnny G's on here too. I think they need to draw more cartoons.
Yes.
I agree. I mean, it's a really good way to tell a long form story and get you involved with some of these characters that, like, Kanan is the best example of this that I can think of. You watch 3.5 seasons of Kanan, you know, and then when he finally gives us, that was gut wrenching. That was like, well, now what are we going to do for the next 6 episodes? Like, now what? You know, and
honestly, it's like when main characters leave, that almost opens up such a world of storytelling as well. So it's like
it does. Yeah. It does. Gunna says, "Rest in peace, Tech."
Yep. Caught him off guard. The next comment there.
Yeah. And Johnny G says Project Stardust will need contractors, give the clones a tool belt and a hammer.
See that? I want to go back to
though that built the Death Star.
I don't think
it was.
Going on. I'd have to reread Catalyst because I know they were doing I know Palpatine was scheming already before the Empire began to build the Death Star. So I also need to reread it because to get the timeline straight in my head, because Bad Batch at this point it's only like a few years into the Empire. So you need to remind myself of where Galen Erso falls in all this and when he was with it, when he left, and all this stuff. And I don't remember.
Well, he's got to be attached to it if it's called Stardust.
Yes.
So he's attached to it at this point.
Oh yeah, he was the main one. It's just I know at some point he left the project and then Krennic forced him back on.
And I'm wondering if this is before he left the project.
I feel like yes. Otherwise, Krennic wouldn't be anywhere near that room.
Right.
He would not be anywhere near that room with such high level of officials. God. I also want to know who are the people besides them in that room, and what kinds of secret projects are they working on?
Right.
And what important roles do they have? Because we know Hemlock, Tarkin, and Krennic were all there, but the other guys that were in there as well, who are they?
Excuse me. So here's something interesting. They started working on Starkiller Base like immediately after episode 3. Like it was pretty close after episode 3, because in Jedi Fallen Order, go to Ilum, and they're already working on mining the planet out. So they started working on.
Well, I feel like they were doing that to mine it for the Death Star,
for the crystals, right?
But that obviously eventually got repurposed, repurposed back into Starkiller Base,
right? Maybe that was one of the projects. You know, I don't know, but
maybe. I mean, there's Palpatine had schemes on schemes on
Oh,
schemes
yeah.
on schemes on
And
schemes
how
on
many-
schemes on schemes on schemes.
And how many different projects got listed in Rogue One when they're going through all the data tapes?
I
And
know.
they're talking about all these
And
different
all kinds of highly classified
Yeah.
Imperial stuff.
Yeah.
So I would love to know more about that. So that stuff
just lock me in
always.
that vault for a week and just
Yep.
let me see what there
Yep.
is. Like that's all. Yeah,
No.
you could do it, man. You could do an entire anthology book on all of those projects.
I know. Just Palpatine's secret diary.
His secret diary.
Yeah, we just flip through
John Winchester diary.
Yeah, it was all his musings.
That's awesome. So yeah, Bad Batch. I think this is a good cap to the season.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's really kicked Bad Batch into like a new gear.
I know.
It wasn't in before, and it's starting to expand into a little bit.
It feels like it has an actual the show always had a direction, but now it's like now the whole world is kicked open. It's like, where are we going from here?
Right.
It's like, I have no idea. And throwing back into one of the things I wanted to bring up. What about Crosshair?
Yeah.
How do you think he fits into all this?
I don't know. Unless, so what exactly is Clone Force 99? They're the Bad Batch, but they're genetically altered, correct?
Yeah.
To have different abilities.
I can't remember if they're genetically altered or if it was kind of like a
fluke thing.
Kind of like something in their genetic code was different from the rest of the clones, and it basically gave them superpowers for every reason.
Right. Turned them into the A-team, basically.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of what they're wanting for the genetics.
Yeah.
Because think about, and I feel like it's relevant. Think about Mando when Dr. Pershing was talking in one of these last episodes about his research about not just cloning somebody, but taking different things, different aspects from different people and combining them into one and to make, a super being basically, and so he was talking about that. And does that have anything to do with this? You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. Obviously the Emperor is very interested in the cloning and, for his own personal gain. And so I think we're in for a really cool finale for this series.
Yeah. With Crosshair, I mean, not to be, I'm not to sound critical again or anything about the show or anything, but I feel like they kind of underused Crosshair in this season a little bit. But yeah, and I see Lobo bringing up a comment here. He believes Crosshair is destined for the Death Trooper program. That's if he stays with the Empire, right?
Yeah. And so I don't know where he's at mentally right now either.
Yeah, and I wish we got more with Crosshair this season to be able to determine where his mindset was, because he was only in like 3-4 episodes or whatever the heck it was.
But he had an awesome arc, though.
Absolutely.
I mean, those are some of the best episodes this season.
Absolutely, the episodes he was in was awesome. Yeah. I will have no problem. I had no problem and no complaints. My jaw was on the floor when he turned on the Empire. I was shocked and stunned, and oh my God, I had to pause my TV and just take a lap around my apartment. Lord have mercy, that was wonderful.
I'd have turned on the Empire too if every time I sat down to eat my breakfast I got called to the office.
I know.
Like,
I know. It was such a wonderful. It was such a wonderful arc that he had that I just wanted more.
Yeah,
I wanted more, and we didn't get it, and it's like, man. So yes, I hope they correct that in season 3, and yeah, like Lobo says, if he doesn't have a choice, yeah, we'll see, because and that's another odd thing that I felt about right after the whole thing with Tech. Hunter and them knew that Crosshair was still in trouble, right? Because they were going on that mission to figure out where he was, and then they just kind of like said,
run.
Nah, screw you, Crosshair. We don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, that was a bit odd to me. So when they do reunite, I'm fascinated what the dynamic's going to be.
I'm wondering if Omega and Crosshair are going to escape together.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You know what I mean? And so I we'll see how it goes. I mean,
obviously, Crosshair, when he does get back to his normal self, because he will.
yeah.
And it's going to be cool to see them and him and Omega, because they kind of have a little bit of a bond. The few scenes that we have seen them together have been really interesting. But yeah, we'll see what happens with him. But I hope season 3, again, if it does come, it is. But if it does, we'll find out next week at Celebration.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the big panels. It'll be announced. I'm not worried. We will find out what happens. But it's like, man, I am very curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not only did we get an awesome finale for
holy crap, we talked about that for a while.
We did, but we
I did not expect that.
Yeah, I know. I thought we were talking about Bad Batch for a couple minutes, and then it was going to be all Mando. But
because I have next to no opinion on Bad Batch, but apparently I do. So
you learn stuff about yourself.
Apparently I do.
Yeah. So, but we got an awesome episode of Mando too, same night, and so this episode had a lot to unpack in it. Also,
I know.
I was having heart palpitations 10 minutes in, and you know what I'm talking about. This whole episode, it dropped a cool cameo, which Mandalorian is known for basically at this point, is dropping awesome cameos. We got our awesome cameo. We got a serious progression of Bo-Katan's story. We got kind of a return of that weird seaweed pirate Davy Jones thing, which, by the way, he's going to go down in history as one of the worst villains ever.
I disagree vehemently. Really? I love that character.
Man, no,
he's wonderful.
So the Ugnaught that he had on his crew was cooler than he was, and so and I, as soon as I saw the Ugnaught,
I love how bad he is at his job. I love how bad he is at his job. So and for me and my taste, that makes him awesome.
That's fair. But let's talk about this episode a little bit. The cameo. Let's just get with the cameo first. Gareth Zeb Aurelius.
Mm-hmm.
When he first came on, I was like, "Oh, it's a Lasat." That's what I thought. And then he started talking, and I'm like, "What?" It's him. Seaweed Man is dreamy. That's great.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I hope he's still because I hope he's still alive.
Turbo lasers are cheaper than missiles, so he's not doing it right. I'm just saying. Anyway, but we got Gareth Zeb Aurelius in live action, and not only did we get him in live action, but dang, did he look good?
Yep.
He looks so awesome. Good. So now in this season, we've gotten the Purgils and we've gotten Zeb. Are they one-offs, or are they planting seeds for what's coming with Ahsoka?
Oh, they're seeds for sure. They're seeds for sure. I mean, we're going to get some. I can't confirm. There's been no official rumors, but with Dave Filoni writing one of these episodes coming up, we're going to get Sabine. 100%. 100% getting Sabine. Bank on it. Bet the house on it. We are getting Sabine or somebody. Yeah, and we'll get into why that is, but bet everything you have on Sabine being the next cameo.
and like we were saying beforehand, nothing is off the table anymore with this show. You never say never anymore with Mandalorian.
No. And I love it.
Never say never. So now when people ask, is Thrawn going to pop up in the season? Shit, he might. I don't know
anymore.
I don't know. I mean, I might pop up in the episode for all I know.
I feel like he still could. Should he? No.
Yes,
but could he? Yeah.
But nothing's going to surprise me, because at what point, right? So hear me out for a second. Season 1 was a really cool season, right? Yep. Season 2, we got Boba Fett back. We got Luke Skywalker taking down Dark Troopers. And this season, in Book of Boba Fett, we got Cad Bane.
Yep.
And in this season now we had Ahsoka in season 2 of Mando. And now we've got Zeb popping up in this season. At what point do we stop being surprised?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, at what point does it lose its magic? We're like, oh, another cameo. Like, oh, yeah, we should have seen him coming. So at what point do we get there?
Right. And the thing with cameos is all these cameos are cool. They're all cool, but it wouldn't matter it would feel hollow if the story wasn't what it
Didn't
was.
back it up, yeah.
And because without a good story, nothing matters. And
Right.
This episode for me, this was by far the best story of the season by far, because because I have enjoyed the season up to this point, but it felt like something is missing. And it's felt like that for a lot of these Mandalorian seasons. And season 1, it took a while to really get into the swing of things, and then they finally did with the last few episodes. And then season 2 really did the same thing until we got Bo-Katan and then Ahsoka, and it's all really fun. But it's like these seasons take a little bit to get going, and season 3 really felt like it was dragging its feet, despite some really good stuff, some amazing Star Wars. But the overall story didn't really start until this episode. Yeah. So because it did that, this really felt like Zeb mattered, and all these other things that we've seen mattered a lot. So yeah, I just really appreciated that element to it. That now we have a story to actually back up everything else. That's really cool.
Right. Something had to give.
Yeah.
I mean, and we've got what, 3 episodes left?
Yes, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
So I think it's going to build to something cool. Honestly, I'm going to keep saying it.
Of course it's going to. I mean, it's The Mandalorian. It will lead into something that blows our mind, and when that happens, we'll all just forget about all of the crap with the first
videos all over YouTube.
We'll forget about the randomness of Pirate King Gorian Shard and saying his name about a half dozen times in 5 minutes.
You remember
Pirate King Gorian Shard? They say
and I don't even remember his name.
Because I laughed my full head off like so much in that premiere, because they said it that exact way like a dozen times for no reason. It's like Pirate King Gorian Shard.
He's such a bad villain. He's so bad.
He's awesome.
He's so stupid. I knew he was going to come back too after he had that 16-second introduction. I was like, he's gonna come back.
Yep.
And but I thought he was gonna end up coming back in like Skeleton Crew. I wasn't expecting him to pop up.
I thought so too, because that was the rumor that was going around, is that Skeleton Crew is gonna have pirates. Yeah. I don't know if I believe those rumors, but we'll see.
Is it Shard or Shart?
Shard.
I'm sure he sharded on his way down to the ground. I mean, as that ship was crashing.
Probably did. He's that kind of moron.
He should have wore his brown pants that day. But no, Lobo says Bo's charged with rounding up the wayward Mandos. So Sabine is highly likely. I agree.
Yeah, we're going to get a recruitment type deal. But at the same time, I'm like, is there really going to be recruitment? Because is Mandalore... Because Mandalore is unoccupied, correct? Or
as of now,
or is the Empire there?
Or are they there and we don't know about it?
That's possible. I mean, maybe Gideon is hiding out there. Maybe
we haven't seen Gideon yet.
I mean, that would be a cool twist, because I mean, now I'm thinking about it. It's like, where's Gideon going to pop up? That'd be a good place to surprise everyone, because Mandalore is unoccupied. So we have a big recruitment episode that I'm thinking about. It's like, for what? I mean, they can just all band together and go home. And
why the lies? Why the lies to keep them away from there? There's something going on there. Level says there was next to no Grogu this episode.
I noticed that, and I'm like, I didn't miss him, because we had that big giant Grogu reveal the episode before. So
that's how you know it's a good episode.
Yeah.
When you don't need Baby Yoda to carry the episode, that's when you know it's a good episode.
Yeah,
it was. Johnny says Mando does have some weak writing
at times. It does. Very much at times.
Yep, I agree.
Especially now that we've seen Andor and what that show can bring. I mean, I completely agree. I still enjoy Mandalorian for the pulpy Star Wars fun.
Yeah,
but now the cracks are starting to show, because Andor was so good.
Andor was so good. It was slow burn too, though.
Oh yeah,
it was but it all ended up paying off in the long run.
Yep.
Let's see here. Lobo says, I think the Empire is there.
Yeah, now that I have spoken out loud, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Gideon there.
But why is the Empire there is the thing.
I know last time
it's got to be Gideon. Gideon's got to be, because somebody broke Gideon out of that shuttle.
And they said it was Mandalorians.
Yeah.
So obviously it's probably not like Mandalorians that we know. I know based on the rumors and all that stuff, Gideon's crew and who he has with, which I can't remember if they're Mandalorians or not, but they're going to have like minor spoilers, kind of like a Death Watchy type look to them and whatnot. Yeah, and late stage, once Maul gets into the picture, those types of people. What exactly that looks like, I don't know, but yeah. So I'm curious if they will be true Mandalorians or not. We'll see.
Death Watch already got mentioned in Mando when he met Bo-Katan and he's like, you remove your helmet. And she's like, you're part of the Watch. You remember? And so Death Watch, I mean, I remember Death Watch removing their helmets personally, but maybe there was a sect of them that, didn't. I don't know. And what's going on with the armor? She's got the horns on her helmet, the Death Watch.
That's another interesting thing, because the armor is one of the most interesting characters on the show, which I can't get a grasp on. Who she is, what she wants, anything about her. What is her goal at the end of the day? Because she flip-flops on a dime so quickly.
She does.
The moment she allowed Bo to take her helmet off and is like, this person is the chosen one now, which I love. I love that element and the dynamics that could bring, because Din still has the Darksaber.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What's going to happen there? But it's like the armorer is such a interesting leader in that we don't know what she's going to do any given moment.
Right. See, and she like the armorer, right? You talk about her flip-flop, and you're not wrong. She's like, Djarin, you removed your helmet. You're not a Mandalorian anymore. You have to go on this like massive side quest to go do this before you can continue with the main campaign. And so he went and did all this crap and then turns around and he's getting ready to go do it. And she tells him, you can't do that. It's poison. And he's like, well, I need to. She flip-flopped there. And then she looks at Bo-Katan and is like, go ahead and take it off. It's fine. Do you respect my station? Take it off. It's fine. Whatever. Yep. So can Din Djarin take his off? He's got the Darksaber. You said
I don't know.
He still has the Darksaber.
I know, and that's going to be such an interesting thing, because the reason why the armorer chose Bo is because she saw the Mythosaur, but there's no proof of that. Right. So when they go to other clans, there's going to be people that are like, what? But this guy has the Darksaber. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the Darksaber right now, and it's not with Bo-Katan, who single-handedly put us in this position to begin with when she failed to stop the Empire.
Yeah.
Because that was Bo's fault.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know exactly what happened at the Night of 1,000 Tears, but that was Bo's charge, was to protect the Mandalorian people, and she failed. So I'm very fascinated about that element of it too.
Yeah. And it could make for a really cool episode if a Sabine Wren pops up. She knows Sabine.
Yep.
Hell, Sabine's the one that gave her the Darksaber.
Right.
So
technically you could argue the Darksaber is still Sabine's. You could argue that as well.
Right. You could. You honestly could.
Because there was no battle for that. There was nothing. So you could argue that Sabine still has a claim to that.
Yeah. No, you're right. And so if Bo's going to find wayward Mandalorians, it would make sense that she would go to one she knows.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one that has wielded the Darksaber.
Yep.
And
has tried to unite the peoples before.
Yeah. I think we're gonna get a Sabine Wren in the next 3 episodes.
I
would have say in the next 2 episodes.
I mean, that Dave Filoni one is the one to look to, episode 7.
That's the 7th one, so it's the next episode.
But also,
episode after next.
Yeah, next week is the Bryce Dallas Howard episode. Right. And then we go back to Rick Famuyiwa directing the final 2. And Filoni is writing episodes, or co-writing episode 7.
Okay.
I can't remember the others, but not that it matters that much.
It doesn't matter. If Dave Filoni didn't write it, nobody gives a crap.
But because Filoni is attached, and he only picks like 1 or 2 episodes a season, and every time he does it, it's because there's a character he wants to fit in there no matter what, because it's his baby. So we are getting one of his babies in that episode, and there's only one that makes sense, and that's Sabine. So,
and I'm going to make a prediction right now. Boba Fett's going to pop up in this season.
See, I don't know about Boba Fett, but I wouldn't be surprised at all.
No, you never say never anymore, right?
No. I don't know if he makes sense. Does he make sense to pop up during this? I don't know.
He's a Mandalorian.
But does he
made
care?
it a point.
But
See,
does he
that's the
care?
thing. That's the question. Does he care? Because the whole Book of Boba Fett series, I'm sorry, 5 of the 7 episodes of Book of Boba Fett were him trying to be the new crime boss on Tatooine. And then at the end of it, he was basically like, no, I don't need this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do this. I changed my mind. I'm bored. And so
I just can't see Boba Fett with all of these. I will live and die for Mandalore. Meanwhile, Boba Fett's for all of his life has been doing other things. So I can't really see Boba Fett doing that. But I don't know.
I don't know.
That's going to be a whole.
Would Bo really go after him though? Because remember, she's like, "Don't you mean your donor?" So would she really go after him? I don't know. Yep. But I think he's going to pop up. I think he's going to pop up in this season.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, I believe there's rumors of a second season of Book of Boba Fett, and as well as rumors of him too. So I wouldn't be surprised one way or the other. But I just don't know.
So we're gonna get 7 more episodes of Book of Boba Fett, but only 5 of them are gonna have Boba Fett in them. Okay, cool. Gotcha. Okay, but anyway, so this episode really did kick the season into like a new gear, and it's just. I'm the kind of guy that, like, when I see certain things, one of the things I really appreciate in Star Wars is practical effects. If it's tangible, you know what I mean? And I know there's a lot of computer stuff, obviously. But when you see, like, puppet Quakey monkey lizards, that just brings back that classic Star Wars feel. You know what I mean? And so when we're on Navarro, right, and you're seeing, it's just like, it felt so good.
I know it
felt like Star Wars.
It felt big time. The fight in the streets felt massive, and it had scope that the Mandalorian hasn't felt like it's had for a while. So because because I could tell that they're doing more location stuff in season 3, but it still feels very volumey at certain points, but this episode did not at all.
No, yeah,
and I love the volume and what you can do with it, and it's a gold mine of potential for generations to come. But yeah, it's like it you could tell this episode had a love and a care and attention to detail that was sorely needed for this season to get back on the right track.
Yeah. Did you catch the Jeremy Bullock mention in there?
I did
honor for him. So at the end, when Grief Karga is giving them the plot of land basically to call their home, he said everything from, I don't remember what he said, but he said to Bullock Canyon.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Right. I didn't catch that.
I've got Jeremy Bullock's autograph. Where is it? I had it up. I don't know what. Oh, yeah, it's over there. Anyway, but yeah, no, I heard his name and I was like, that's cool. That was nice. So, but yeah, the Mandalorians have a new home, but I don't think they're going to stay there. I think they're going to go after Mandalore.
Yeah.
So,
anything else? There's something else I wanted to bring up. I can't remember what it is. Anyone watching have anything that they want to bring up? Any other tangents you want us to go on? Or
so I like this comment from Lobo. Maybe Death Watch changed their helmet rule because of the embarrassment of being attached to Maul.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that idea. I really do. I would need to go back and rewatch the Clone Wars episodes where Maul
I would need to as well.
I remember them, but I want to go back and rewatch them again. Because, and even Siege of Mandalore, which is still gold standard storytelling as far as I'm concerned. That's freaking masterpiece perfection of Star Wars. I need to go back and rewatch it again. But Maul always seemed like that guy that wanted to fit in so bad, and just everything he did, he was like Wile E. Coyote trying to catch the Roadrunner. Everything blew up in his face. He was always like rejected. You know what I mean? Like he finally got Crimson Dawn. What happened there? You know, because he's in charge of Crimson Dawn one minute, and the next he's on Malachor, you know, trying to recruit Ezra. So what happened there? You know, so
I mean, he's a tragic character.
He always wanted to beat somebody. Yeah, and so, and yeah, the Mandalorian.
Yep.
Didn't really want anything to do with it.
Poor Maul, but yeah,
poor Maul.
poor Maul. But yeah, if it
I have
is
feelings too.
the Death Watch, or maybe the Super Commandos from Rebels making a comeback, or the Saxon clan, or some other of these enemy factions that are still floating around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious as to what kind of
What kind of Mandos are we gonna see?
I know.
So
And it's like, what kind of it's like,
Right.
and also, why are they still with the Empire? What does the Empire have to offer them?
Right. Johnny G says there is a red bad guy Mandalorian mask in the Masks intro at the start of these shows. And actually, now that he says that, I think he's right.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. And
I'd have to go back and watch.
Sure.
I can't.
Yeah, no, I need. Yeah, remember what show was it? Was it Boba Fett where they were doing the kitchen sink? Was it Boba Fett or was it Obi-Wan? One of the shows had a kitchen sink in the intro where all the lightsabers were swooping back and forth, and I don't remember. I think it was Obi-Wan. I'm pretty sure it was Obi-Wan. Because everybody was like, was that a kitchen sink? Like, and it was. Every episode, it was in there. Lobo says they did capture a bunch of Mandalorians. I see what you did there. At the end of the Siege of Mandalore, maybe they're the ones that grabbed Gideon.
Maybe.
I want to know what's going on with Gideon because
I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated about
dark.
Gideon.
Yeah. So,
I loved the reveal of that transport ship getting ransacked and getting freed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a great way to end the episode.
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh,
on that cliffhanger. Yeah. So, do you guys miss Cara Dune? I think her absence is almost obvious.
It's obvious, but I don't think it harms the show.
Right. I agree with you. I feel like there's serious, like you can tell, like it's. How do I want to say it? I miss her, yeah. But I feel like there's a gaping hole there where she's supposed to be. You know what I mean? That's I don't know. I'm having a hard time articulating.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, I've never been
like she's supposed to be there.
I don't know. It's like, should she be there? I don't know. Do I miss her? Not particularly, because she was never my favorite character. So
I thought she was badass.
She was.
Yeah,
she was badass, but it's like I don't know. There's other characters I am more attached to, and she was just not. Her story wasn't that compelling to me to begin with because there wasn't a story with her. I mean, she was going to join up with the New Republic and lead that show. But
I thought she had a pretty cool story. She was Alderaanian.
Oh yeah, her backstory is very interesting. It's very interesting, but they didn't do anything with that. And if they went forward with the Rangers of the New Republic spinoff,
yeah,
I feel like she could have really surprised a lot of people.
Yeah,
because I don't think Gina Carano is that bad of an actress,
right?
At least in this show, her movies that I've seen her in, dog water. But like Cara Dune, her performance was never that awful. So
no, I thought she was a very cool character. And then at the end of season 2, we had that. You remember? So in Avengers Endgame, they did that whole female scene where it's girl power. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And everybody's like, okay, we get it. You know, you're trying to do a female scene. We get it. They did it in Mando, and nobody even noticed it until afterwards.
Did they?
Done right. Yeah. Like when they first come onto that.
So you mean they did it right and didn't and did it subtly?
Right.
So.
Right. They didn't be like, look at what we're doing. They just did it, and it made sense. And when they charged the ship, and then afterwards they were like, oh, it was all females. And I'm like, well, damn, you're right. They weren't they? That was pretty cool. All right. Awesome. Good job. And
I did like the scene in Endgame with that. I did like that scene in Endgame, but yeah, it's like you can't really deny that they were forcing that.
Why do you need to back up Captain Marvel though? You know what I mean? Anyway, that's a whole different show.
Well, she lost to Thanos one-on-one. She lost that fight with him.
True. That's true.
She did. So she needed backup one way or the other. She needed help with Thanos. So
you're not wrong. Let's see here. Lobo says, speaking of Cara, was she on that transport shuttle?
Maybe.
That would be what did they say she went off? She went off to become special forces, right?
Yeah.
It's possible that she could have been on there. I don't think she was, though. Johnny G said, I thought she was badass, too. I thought she was a really cool character. And maybe, you know what? Maybe she was there when she was needed as a character. And now we've moved past the point of needing her.
I think so, too. I think so, too, because because this season has dove a lot into Mandalorian culture.
Yeah.
Where does she fit into that?
Where would she have fit into that? Right, exactly.
Because she would have been involved in probably the Navarro stuff. She would have probably gotten a call from Mando to say, yo, come help us out here. Or Grief would have, or not even Mando, but Grief would have made a call out to Kara, and the New Republic would have came and all this good stuff. And so yeah, I just don't know if she really would have had a purpose in this season.
It seems like maybe the character has run out, of its necessity of being in the show. You know what I mean? So maybe. Anyway, I still liked her as a character. I wish that, I don't know. I don't want to get into it. It's a political thing. I don't want to get into politics. So
we won't get into politics, but the character, I mean, does she mess? Sure. But I still stand by that. We don't really need her at this point because there's so much else. There's so much else this show has going for it. And I am curious as all get out as to, are we going to get, similar to Bad Batch, but looping it back to that, are we going to get another cliffhanger for this season?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Season 2 didn't have a cliffhanger at all.
No.
Season 2 was pretty cut and dry. It was
they wrapped it up, and season 1 in a lot of ways did too, except for the Gideon Darksaber reveal.
Right.
But that was like, all right, now this show's going full Mandalorian culture, full Mandalorian stuff. But I
feel like they did that with season 1 because they were like, let's just make it one just in case, nobody likes it, and we can say we told what was it, 6 episodes? I think something for the first season, 6 or 8 episodes.
It was an 8-episode season.
8 episodes. We told a series, and then when everybody was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then that was when they came back and did season 2 and really upped the game, So they might give us a cliffhanger this one. I don't know, especially if.
Because based on everything we've talked about, I don't think you can wrap up everything in 3 episodes.
In 3 episodes.
I really don't think you can. Especially with the politicking of the Mandalorians and all this stuff. I mean, you could easily wrap up Gideon's story, but as far as how does Mandalore rebuild, I feel like that could go on to season 4. And especially with what's going to happen with Ahsoka and Thrawn, we'll see what comes of that and what ripple effects that has as well. Because obviously Book of Boba Fett had ripple effects on this season with Grogu coming back. Ahsoka and Skeleton's crew are probably going to have the same impact on Mandalorian season 4. So what's going to happen in those 2 shows that make a difference going forward? Because this in of itself is its own ongoing thing. That's why I never had a problem with the Book of Boba Fett for 2 episodes, doing 2 episodes of the Mandalorian. I've never had a problem with that because I always knew that they were going to do this no matter how we felt about it. So it's like, it's all connected. It's all connected. Yeah. All of Star Wars TV is one giant shared universe. Accept it.
No, you're not wrong. And so I hesitate to use the word Filoniverse, but it seems like that's what it kind of is.
And that's what they all say. I mean, it all has Filoni's footprints.
Yeah.
The only show that's not connected is Star Wars Resistance. And I mean, that's the other thing.
It's not connected yet.
We'll see. We'll see on that front. I want it to be. I will defend that show to my grave.
Yeah. It's bottom of the list for me. I think had it gotten its 3rd season, I think it would have really been something cool. But
it's absolutely bottom list for me too. But I really enjoyed that show. But outside of that, I mean, Filoni, I don't know what his involvement is with Bad Batch, but his name's on the credits, so he still gets paid. He's still getting money for his Bad Batch.
Yeah, he's getting royalties off of that. Yeah.
But Filoni's fingerprints are over everything. So
well, man, we've been going for 1 hour and 5, so I think we should probably wrap it up for the night because it's after 11 where we're at. So Why don't you tell the good people where they can find you at, man?
Oh, you can find me mostly on Twitter, Nate_Manningham. I tweet a lot about movies this upcoming weekend. Probably find me tweeting a lot about if there's any professional wrestling fans out there. WrestleMania is this weekend. I'll be tweeting up a storm about that. But for the most part, I just tweet a lot of random stuff about Star Wars, and you can always find me at Star Wars Newsnet writing about books and comics and all kinds of stuff there. Be sure to check out the site for all your news and all that good stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me.
Sweet. And you guys can find me here on the YouTube channel for Star Wars Newsnet as well, doing the weekly roundups, doing these Star Wars Newsnet lives, which are a blast. I love getting on here and talking Star Wars. And you guys can also catch me on my show, the Star Wars Canon Podcast. Tomorrow, my co-host and I are going to be going live and talking about basically everything we talked about tonight, but we're also going to be talking about some extra canon material as well, novels, comics, everything like that. And it's a good show. My co-host Yusuf Wally, he's from Cairo, Egypt, so he joins us from across the pond. And I always have a lot of fun talking with him. He's really cool to talk with. So also, for those of you who are interested, on May 6th, I'm going to be doing a 24-hour live stream of Jedi Fallen Order. And then when we finish Fallen Order, we're going straight into Survivor. And during that live stream, we're going to be raising money to raise awareness for and help prevent veteran suicide in the future. And so I'm going to be, I guess, I don't want to say raffling, but I'll be sending, if you guys donate over a certain amount, I'll be sending you a canon novel that I've got as a thank you. I've got them all digitally now. And so I'll be sending my hardbacks out. If you guys have that Holy Grail novel that you're missing in your hardback collection, this would be a really good way to get it. So join me on May 6th and see if we can raise some money for a good cause. And yeah, so I'm really excited about that. I can't wait. And actually, today at work, the lady for our local newspaper came in and was like, she saw the placard for it and was like, we should put it in the paper. And I'm like, we could,
why not?
you know, yeah, why not? Whatever. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was going to do it on Veterans Day last year, but we had some stuff come up and I wasn't able to do it then. So we're going to be doing it May 6th. So mark your calendars.
Now you get to play up both games. I can't wait for Survivor. Can't wait.
I can't either. Because Fallen Order was free on PS5, I think last month or the month before. And so I downloaded it. I had it for PS4, but I got the PS5 version. And so we're going to sit down and do the PS5 version. And then it shouldn't take 24 hours to beat Fallen Order. It should.
Survivor, I don't know what.
I don't know what's going on with that.
Based on everything they're saying, we could be looking at a massive game based on what they're saying about some of these gameplay elements. So
yeah, so
bring it on.
I think YouTube only lets you do 12 hours on live stream, so I think we'll do a 12-hour live stream of Fallen Order, and then we'll just do 12-hour live stream of Survivor. So maybe that'll work. So thanks, guys, for coming and hanging out with us tonight and giving us some input on what you guys thought of Bad Batch and Mando. Really looking forward to the next live stream. So Celebration is coming up next weekend. And so when are we doing the next live? Are we going to be doing it on Mondays?
I know Mondays in the corner it says do live stream every Monday night.
Yeah.
Obviously it's Thursday.
It was Thursday tonight. Yeah. So
I think we're still trying to nail down a date for these.
We are.
I don't know.
We need a consistent date. So
we do.
But yeah, anyway, so we'll probably be live again before Celebration weekend, and we can talk about our predictions for Celebration and everything like that. And so and then we'll have a new episode of Mando by the time we live stream again. So thanks guys for coming and hanging out with us, and until next time, may the Force be with y'all.